All right, today I wanted to show you this iPad Air, which is a crazy, crazy iPad Air. This is here for not charging, and when we got it kind of like this, and you could see on this iPad Air that it had all of the original tape. So you can tell if somebody has done a charge port replacement or has taken the board out before. But this one, the board had never been removed. You could see all full original tape that was covering all aspects of the dock with original tape on the antennas, and everything was in place as if it had never been opened before. So I am taking the board out, and I noticed that the dock connector was kind of like loose, which really doesn't make any sense. It's pretty hard for a dock connector to be loose. So I took the board out, and in doing so, the dock connector just fell off. So you can see this dock. Let's look at it under the microscope, and it still has the original tape on it. So this is not a replacement dock. See that tape? That tape is full original. And in general, independent repair shops don't have access to this original tape. So when we replace a dock, we will put on a piece of Captain tape there or some other easily accessible tape. This is the original Apple tape. You can tell that this is the first time that this piece of tape has been pulled off of this dock. So let's take a look at it. Let's try to get that off with some tweezers that actually tweeze. Not these tweezers. Let's take it off with some good old fingernails. Alright, so we'll rip this off. And that has never been taken off before. Now look at this. This is what the soldering looks like on the top of this dock. Now let's flip it over, and you can really see how this dock was so poorly soldered. Every single joint here is completely oxidized. Just total crap. And then as I pulled out the board, the dock pulled off a couple of pads that are going to be missing probably. So let's look at the board. Let's see what the board looks like at the dock connector. So look at this, it's just completely oxidized on every single joint. And there's a little bit of that original adhesive. So I really don't have any explanation for how that could happen. We know with iPad Air charging problems that the dock connector is a common fault, but I really never suspected that it would be a fault at the soldering here at the actual board connector joint. That's pretty no. So what we do see a lot though is if you look at this sort of native port, a lot of times you can see that the soldering here on the inside of the port is often quite poor. This one looks okay, but some of them are just really bad. If you take this kind of hot glue or whatever that stuff is off, those pins are often almost just resting on the pads and not really soldered very well at all. Nope, it was not liquid damage. I see a question in the chat about liquid damage. Nope, it's not. But what I do notice is that there is no sticker here, and I'm pretty sure that usually this is covered, maybe not. It has that original foam. My impression, I haven't looked at a ton of the bottom of these boards, but that there's usually some kind of covering here, but maybe not. Everything else looks pretty normal. I haven't looked at the top of the board itself, but this is just pretty crazy. I don't see any evidence of water. Let's look under here. Yeah, all of that seems normal. We'll stick that back on there. All right, so let's go ahead and clean up this these pads and see what we can work with. We're gonna have to do some pad repair. I can see a broken pad here, but maybe we can get by with the rest of them. But man, all right, let's see. Let's take a look at see who's here today. A bunch of hellos. Oh, I got a new T-shirt. I got a T-shirt today from Repair Shopper. Repair Shopper. So Repair Shopper. We use Repair Shopper, and we love those guys. So Troy sent us a big box of T-shirts, which I'm happy to wear. I think Repair Shopper is a fantastic product for managing your shop and all of your repairs. Cane Lady. Yes, we did get a cane today in the mail, and I have rehomed it to a person in need of a cane, which is not me. So I really can't believe that anybody was dumb enough to actually send canes here, but we will see. We will see. All right, let's see. What else is going in here? High, no sound. Well, sound looks like it should be okay. Just fixed an iPad Air TriStar. That's good. I think Apple didn't lock tight the screws to the charge port area on purpose, so it wears out after the screws are loose. Possibly. I don't know about the on purpose part. Any deliveries from Lewis's viewers? Yes, we got a cane today. I don't know why. I wonder what happens if you do a return to sender on the Amazon package. I don't know. What we did was we found someone that needed a cane and we gave it to him. No one made good on enhancing the Rossmann store glass. Shh. That's not something to do today. I managed to restore the data without schematics on a secret demo prototype from a company called Wacom today. Let's see. I replace at least 4 ports a day because of loose screws. And Chris Long is dying over there with his iPad Air 2. Just give up, man. Just not everything is repairable. All right. What else? Okay, I'm looking. Do iDevice boards get cleaned in an ultrasonic? If sometimes, sure. Fake China solder. I think that sounds totally possible. Okay. This is one of the many reasons why we as small repair shops should have the right to fix Apple stuff. Many of us do better repairs than Apple. Yes. And while we're looking at Apple stuff, there's another board over here, this one, which goes in my collection of shitty Apple refurbs. So here's another one. This is an iPad mini that looks exactly like the other ones that I've shown you before. I just want to kind of build up this experience base. I'm pretty sure it was this one. So this is another iPad mini, and it also was, has all the original tape, like here's the original tape at the dock, and this shield seemed original, and yet when I open it up, we can see the same thing. Cut bracket, cut bracket, cut bracket, flux, burned up looking shit. Here's the Apple piece of tape. And let's look at this one. This is an iPad mini that has had yet another power management chip change. So we can see that the underfill again is cut away. So along this border, there's cut away underfill, and we can see evidence of heat on the board. So there's a solder ball here showing that heat was used around this underfilled area, and we can see a lot of just dirt and dried flux. And if we look really close, we can see solder balls here on the backlight coil. I can see a loose solder ball just hanging out right there waiting to cause a short. And we can see flux with solder balls in it over there. So there you go. This is yet another Apple repair. And that's what it looks like, folks. That is your pristine, high quality, authorized Apple repair that looks just about the same as any microsoldering shop would do that didn't bother to take the board out or clean it. So there you go. All right, we'll move that to the side. Just wanted to capture that for a minute. And let's go ahead and fix up these solder pads and see what's up. Let's see what we can do with this iPad Air. So iPad Air charging problem, super popular topic. And a lot of them start with the port. So every iPad Air that comes in here for charging always gets a new charge port, just because the part itself, the native ones, even the replacement ones, tend to be crappy. But you can edit them so that they're pretty good. And you need to do that before you put a new charge port on. You need to get in there and make sure it's a good one. All right, so we will see if we can dig up these little bits that are stuck on here. Let's try to get that one. Now let's see. Here's our one pad that is damaged. Man, look at how oxidized. Oh, it just doesn't want to take solder at all. And that one was slightly damaged. All right, but overall, not too bad. Okay, so we've got the one here that has a broken trace. So we're going to need to figure out what are we going to do about this. So let's look that up on ZXW. That's the fourth one over, and see if we can figure out what it's supposed to do. So I'm going to pull up ZXW and see if we can find it. So let's see if I can get ZXW working today. iPad Air. Wake up, ZXW, you can do it. I believe in you. It says, please wait. Sound works. Fantastic. All right, so we've got some more hellos. How can you come to iPad Rehab Practical Board Repair School from Turkey? You sign up and get on a plane. Can you start a microsoldering business without money? I'll say no. You know, you need some money. You need to be able to buy equipment. You're really wasting your time if you're not able to have just basic microsoldering equipment like a microscope. We had a kid that was here at the course who did phenomenally well. This kid, Jonas from Canada, who does not have a microscope, and he brought some fucked up iPhone 6 boards that he had tried to change TriStar with no microscope, and they were all missing all kinds of pads. So he sat there with the microscope, and he was able to place all sorts of amazing micro jumpers, and he got two of them. The two of them that he worked on, he got working again. And so he was just like, yeah, I got to buy a microscope. All right. iPhone 6 charges only with one charge cable and only one side of the connector. Why don't you look... That's you, Raj. Raj, fucking figure that out. Go look up TriStar. Stare at the schematic. And on the one side of TriStar, you'll see a bunch of debuggy data lines. Don't worry about that. But you need to look at the other side of TriStar and look at those lines and see if you can come up with an idea of what those lines probably do. All right. Do more Atari repair videos. All right, send me an Atari. I'll fix it. All right. Change TriStar and Tigris, but no, look, why did you change TriStar and Tigris? You have to have a reason. You can't just throw chips at a board randomly. And if not, says Mark Highland, how much would it cost to start a microsoldering business? That is a difficult question to answer. How much does it cost to start a microsoldering business? The answer would be as little as possible. You would need to get some good quality equipment, and that you would be willing to buy as a hobby. that you are intending to invest in as a hobby. And then you need to see if there's business. So you need to learn how to do microsoldering one device at a time. You can't learn on customer devices. So you got to get out there and develop some basic proficiency. And then you need to see if there is business. And then if so, allow the business to grow from there, where you repair a device and then you invest the money that you made on that repair back into the business. I think that I can't imagine just jumping in and investing with no experience into, thousands of dollars of equipment without knowing whether or not there's a market for this service and what you can actually make. All right, so I've found the ZXW, so let's take you guys over here, screen. All right, ZXW, I don't know if you can hear me anymore. So the pad that we are missing is this one. All right, so it's number 1, 2, 3, 4, and it looks like it goes to this test point out here. So what we'll do is we will just make a wire from that test point over to the pad after we get done putting in a new charge port. So let's do that. All right, so this is all reasonably tinned. I'm going to try to move this guy back a little bit. Let's see, I'll turn the iron back on and heat that up. I think this pad is loose or damaged, but it's just ground. And how do you know it's just ground? Can you read the board and tell that it's a ground pad? We can try to nudge it. He doesn't really matter that much. All right, that's fair enough. And I'm looking to see if every other pad has some solder on it, and I think it does. Okay, so let's put on a new charge port. Now, before we do a new charge port, we need to examine the charge port to make sure that the new one that you're taking out of a package isn't really bad. So let's look at this one under the microscope. I have not looked at this one yet and see how the factory solder job looks. And look at that. This is exactly what I'm talking about. That looks like shit. This is not a great port at all. That's not a great port at all. Look at that. This I don't know if you guys can see my cursor or not, but we've got these pads that are, they look like they could potentially be bridged in the back, and the pins are just resting on the pads. You can imagine that this thing was made by putting paste on a flex, and then somebody just dropped a port on it and then kind of heated it up a little bit, and the paste flowed, but it doesn't make really good joints at all. So we need to edit this. We're gonna have to edit this port, make this port great again by coming through by hand. And there's nothing wrong with that. So we're gonna put some flux on there, and we'll get some mini hot tweezers, and we are going to rejuvenate this. We're gonna rejuvenate this port. So you've got to put your eyeballs on your new piece that you're about to install and make sure that it's actually good. So we're just going to do these joints by hand. So we're going to flow these joints. I'm pressing down on the top of this port. I'm going to get a little more solder on these tweezers. And we're going to make good joints. All right, fair enough. Okay, so now we can feel more comfortable with our piece that we're about to install. So let's clean that off with some alcohol. All right, and now I see that there's actual joints there, so I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and put on our charge port. And then we'll edit our missing pad, which we have to remember, it's the number 4 pad. So we'll put some flux on at the bottom, line this sucker up, and we'll line it up first just carrying about one side. So I'm looking for my little orientation mark, which you guys can't see. There's my little orientation mark, and I'm going to put some pressure to hold that in place. And I can see the underlying pad through a little hole. And my goal is to just make that suck up there. And it's not working. Need to put some flux on top. Come on, ground pad, you can do it. Let's get both of these together on there. There you go, that's better. That's more like it. There you go, come up through the hole. There, all right. So that one joint is done, and because I only have one joint, I still have play. I can still wiggle my port, and that lets me get the perfect alignment that I want on the other side. So I'll add some pressure, and we'll put some flux on top here. So now I'll anchor it down here. And then after that, it's just a matter of going down pad by pad, making sure that you see the solder underneath coming up through the hole. And these ports will raise up a little bit, so you've got to continually move your tweezers down to apply pressure to help them to stay down. You want it to be really flat on the board. I'll clear a little bridge. Move it up so you can see. Pressure and painting. Happy little trees. Making happy little trees. All right. I'm good with that, I think. So you're not really painting on top of these as much as pulling the existing solder up from the bottom. That's what you care about. All right, fair enough. So now we can clean that off, and we'll make a little micro jumper for the one that is missing, that we know is missing. So the number 4 pad. Okay, so the number 4 pad, we'll look back at ZXW, and it looks like there is a test point. I'm going to rearrange the board so that it matches the ZXW. And we are going to go with, let's see the pattern here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then one down below, and then this is our target. Okay, so let's make that happen. We're gonna come back and make a little micro jumper. So what do you use for that? I'm going to use a strand of braid because it's always available. So I'm going to cut some braid to a single strand of braid. So I got to dig that out a little bit. And I'm gonna, oh, that's way too little. All right, this braid is the kind that is woven, I guess. So it's hard to get a long enough piece, but let's see if that piece is long enough. If not, I'll change to a longer wire. All right, that looks like the longest piece that I'm going to get out of this. All right, it seems to be big enough. So let's look under the microscope. And we are trying to go from number 4 to the little dude that's right there. So let's make that happen. And I think there's a little sticker on this board that we'll try to just kind of burn through. There we go. All right, that's fine. And then we'll put some flux on here and go to our number 4 pad. Number 4, where are you? Make him a little bit more flat. All right, and we'll peel off the end. Okay, so now we have solved that missing pad problem. All right, now that is a charge port, and we'll see if that is enough to make this iPad Air charge. And if not, then we would have to keep troubleshooting. Okay, so I'm going to put a little piece of Captain tape on top of my charge port because I don't want those exposed pads to touch ground. I'm also going to put a piece of tape over the other exposed components. And we will stick this back in here and see what happens with charging in its native housing. I like to test in a known good housing because iPad Air batteries also tend to be really sketchy, and if it doesn't charge, then we would first troubleshoot by getting a known good housing. Okay, let's see if we can read some chat while we're going. Let's see. How do you lesson in your country if I come to you for my holiday? You sign up for Practical Board Repair School on the website just like everybody else. Actually, let's check. I thought a bunch of people signed up. Let's see if there's any spots that are open. We just listed July like a couple days ago. So let's see if there's still spots in July. July 1st session is full, and July 2nd session has 3. So that means there's 5 spots left in July. So that's pretty good. That should be fine. 5 spots left in July. All right, let's see. Say hi for Lewis, Cox for Rossman. Lewis is at the gym, so we are free to talk about painting his storefront to say still with her, which is actually not my lead revenge idea. I'm not going to tell you my lead revenge idea. He claims that I don't need any revenge because this was revenge for the nice thing that I did for him, which is encouraging people to replace his clearly broken special thing. Did you see how sad his face was when he broke his poor little rooster? He was so sad, and we made him happy, and he doesn't appreciate it. He thinks we're trolls. So, we'll see. We'll see if the world is actually made up of enough 12-year-old boys that think it's funny to send Grandma a walker. We will see. All right. Cox for Rossman. It is trending. Great. Chris Long wishes his was just TriStar or a charge port or some bad component. It probably is the port or TriStar, and I know you've changed it a bunch of times, but they just are really bad. What is the best solder paste for reball IC? I do not know the answer to that. We just use various random ones and don't have a problem. In fact, I reballed a NAND today, and the solder paste that I used was the little one from China. Can you guys, are we on camera? Yeah, here we go. This worked great, whatever this stuff is. Mechanic solder paste, 6337 from Chinese character, made by Hong Kong. That stuff worked great. There's all kinds of solder pastes. I think having a fresh one is generally a good idea. Any tips regarding iPhone 6 Apple logo for 10 seconds and then restarts? Is this always due to battery detection, or is there anything else? Sure, you have corrupted software. Is there an elderly home hear you? I am sure they could use all those walkers and canes that are about to reach you. I would still be really surprised if we get more than one. I'll be surprised if we get more than one. One came today and has already been rehomed to a bona fide grandma, not a 35-year-old grandma. Let's see. All right. Could anyone answer my question? I have an iPhone 6 that won't sync with iTunes, and sometimes it stays on 31% when off charge, but drops to 30 when on charge and won't move. That's not a question. That does not have a question mark anywhere in it. It's a whole lot of questions here. All right, let's put the battery screw back in. That's another really important detail because we've got to have connection to the battery data lines or else you will not get charging. All right, let's see what the result is here. So I'm going to plug in a charge port, and this is what we get. So let's try to make some sense out of this. Let's see. See that? So that's not normal charging. That to me is what a device would do if it's in DFU mode. So I would next wonder if it's auto booting to DFU or has software corruption. Let's see if we can hang this up here so that you guys can just see what's going on with that. I might get a screen, but for now I'm going to just see if it's detected by the computer. And we're going to see if iTunes detects it or not. That's low. You would expect to be about 1.5 to 2 amps for an iPad Air. So we'll have to see what else is going on. I fixed today an iPhone 6s with no charging. Changed TriStar, no luck. After I remove camera IC, it works again. Is it possible that an iPhone 6s not charged with bad camera IC? No, but it sounds like you never needed. What made you think it wasn't charging? Is this that it wasn't charging, or you thought, or you just said, hey, it's not charging because it wasn't booting? Camera IC is a commonly beat up with water damage. So my guess on that one is that you are saying no charging, but what you really mean is not booting, and not booting is because you had a short on a power rail. But what do I know? How can we do for take lessons with you in your country, please? Go to the iPad Rehab website, sign up for Practical Board Repair School, just like everybody else. Let's see. We're reading some more chat. Any tips to remove the Wi-Fi IC? Yeah, why are you removing the Wi-Fi IC? Learn how to troubleshoot. Yeah, exactly. Chris Long knows what's what. Good troubleshooting. Do simple things first. If you're getting error 9, is this a phone that you changed TriStar on? If so, change it again. If not, you've got a NAND problem. All right, I've answered the take lessons question way too many times. Jessa, you should go to China and see these repair shops doing Touch IC replacement without microscope. No, that would hurt my brain to even see that. Yay, somebody just signed up for July courses. Well, we will see you in July, which is a great time to be in Rochester, honestly. Oh, somebody sent me 2 British pounds. I'm better than you because my message is turquoise, says Kevin, which is true because Kevin is my new BFF. Let's see, I've got an iPad Air here that won't charge. Port looks fine. Anything I can measure to be sure it's an issue with the board? Well, you never have a board problem until you know you don't have a parts problem. So you need to make sure that it's not just a bad parts. So you need to maintain a known good air housing if you're going to troubleshoot air charging problems. All right, so like this one. So this one is still, it's not detected by iTunes, and it's got this odd 0.44 current draw, which is not normal charging. So that would be the same thing that I need to do, which is to see what happens if I put this board in a known good housing. So let's do it. So we'll take this out, and while it's out, I will go ahead and measure what the battery voltage is, just to know if it's super low or moderately low or what. And then we're gonna have to go hunt around in Christy's stuff, because she normally does all of our iPad Air charging problems, and she is off teaching a class or something today. So we'll have to go root around and see if we can find the known good stuff. All right, so the board is out. Before I move along, I'm going to see what that battery voltage was. Jess's repair, hashtag nasty board, yes. All right. Can we take lessons in your country if we can come? If you sign up for Practical Board Repair School, it doesn't matter where you're from. All right. What kind of microscope camera do you use? Now that is something I do want to go to China. Mark and I were talking about going to China. Super excited just to go see China and the cradle of our industry. I definitely want to go to China, and one of the things that I would look at if I went to China would be to look and see what's the good medium grade microscope camera, because that's something that people ask all the time. All right, this is 3.65, so it's not super low. So this board, I would expect to be able to charge that. If it were a 000, then I would wonder if it was a battery problem. All right, I'm gonna hunt around for the known good iPad Air housing for charging. Which I probably should have done before. I found some stuff raiding Christie's station. So so this is going to be a little bit of a guess, because Christie's got a lot of stuff in her air domain. So let's see. She has this one called Air Test 1. Air Test LCD. She has this is called Battery Good crossed out bad. So I don't know about that. If that is, I'm going to put that one as second. Then we have one called iPad Air Good on 8/31. That was a while ago. And then we've got a couple other. Ooh, this might be her good battery. It's got a green sticker. Right, which one is probably the better battery? The one with a green sticker, or the one in this called Air Test Housing? Ooh, that's a real toss-up. Let's see. Did she say anything else on that? There's a little sticker, green. Let's just try that because it's easy. So I'm gonna just push this board down onto this battery with a lot of force, because I want it to make good connection on those data lines, and it's hard to do that. So I'm actually going to look under the microscope to line up the battery. So let's get that good alignment. All right. Now let's plug in a charger and see if it's the same result on this battery, which isn't known good because I'm not Christy, which is unfortunate. So we get the same result, which is that it's pulling a low kind of DFU kind of charging thing. Oh, it's doing something else. That may just be because my fingers are not able to make a good connection. Let's see. I'm going to let my fingers go so it's just sitting on the battery. Look at that. It doesn't like it. It doesn't like it when you're not holding on to it. All right, let me try the other housing where I can screw it in. And we'll just continue to gather information here. That, I don't know. All right, let's try air test 1. Test 1. Either that means it's a really old housing and she has abandoned it, or it means it's her number 1 test housing, air test 1, like Air Force 1. This is the good one. I don't know which option it is. I wish Christy was here. I wish I hadn't decided to stream anything about air charging without her being here. All right, so now let's really screw down the battery so that we know it's making good connection. And then let's see. All right, now I think I'm going to put a screen on it and see if it will attempt to boot. Which one of these screens is good? Let's go with the one called Air Test. First, I'm going to look at the connector. That looks like a connector that I put on. So usually the last time when I was working on my Nightmare Air, which is somewhere around here, and I have a massive video to post about that one day whenever it decides to upload. I had to harvest this connector off of an iPhone 4S dock, which I'm not 100% sure is really a great match for the iPad Air. Seemed like a good match at the time, but I don't know. Let's see if I can get this on here without blowing backlight. Well, seemed to snap into place. Okay, I'm going to connect the charger again now that we are in a different test housing. Still not known good because I don't know what's going on. All right, so I see the same result here, which is a low charging current. And I see nothing on the screen. So let's give it a second to kind of boot up, and then I'm going to see again if it's detected by iTunes. My read on this would be this device is in DFU mode. It needs software restore. So let's see what else you guys are saying. Let's see. Jessa, check the jumper. What's wrong with my jumper? Please get that pin to the proper spot. What, on my connector? Not sure if she'll get it. What message? Chris messaged you. Let's see. Guy in chat said you made the jumper to the wrong pin. Oh, okay. Oh, that'd be sweet. Did I really? Let's find out. Check my jumper. I made it to the wrong pin. Did I? 1, 2, 3, 4. And this little dude down here. 1, 2, 3. Oh, did I? I think I made it to that guy. Who is that guy? Let's find out. Test point 1117. What does that go to? Let's see. Let's see. That'd be an easy solution. That means it might work and we don't have to troubleshoot anymore. Let's see. Test point 1118. All right, so vote from chat says, you darn made your jumper to the wrong dot. Sounds totally reasonable. Let's check. So let's take this board out and see. All right, so we'll take the battery off first before disconnecting the LCD. So we got that off. Really wish I knew if that LCD was good. When I was doing that, the nightmare air from hell, there was 0 known good LCDs in the house, which sucked. And I was trying to like get 2 of them that were just really beat up. One of them was all cracked up. I was trying to get those desperately to work with new connectors that were harvested off of weird devices. All right, let's check on this jumper. I hope you guys are right, because that would be easy to troubleshoot. All right, let's check. Okay, so ZXW, let's review. ZXW says, screen, ZXW says, number 4 needs to go to this guy. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's not, I think I did that one probably. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this one that's sort of more in a line with him, and not the lowdown one. So let's look and see. Let's look and see what I did. Let's see. Let's see. Hopefully I fucked it up. Yeah, I did. Awesome. Oh, I love you. I love you, chat guy. I love this. This is great. I'm gonna live stream every repair from now on. I did like something like 6 repairs today, and I was gonna finally, under popular request, drag over the quick and do a hey, let's review the quick soldering station. But I then opened up this board and I was like, what the heck is this? I thought this would be more interesting. We'll get the quick over here one day, and we'll do some. We got to come up with some jobs that require like serious hot air, so that you can really kind of see how the quick holds up. All right, I think I'm going to make it a little bit shorter. I want to know who's the guy in chat that told me my jumper was fucked up. I'm going to send him a cane. Got to send him a walker. All right, let's see. All right. I really can't believe I don't have these memorized after a long time of the iPad Air from hell. Let's get that sticker kind of burned up. Okay, so I think that's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the guy that's kind of up, not down. All right, let's clean that off. So let's see, is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll check back over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that right, chat? Is it? Tell me. Tell me now. Let's see. Who was it that told me my jumper was fucked up? I gotta send you a cane. All right. But now I want to know what was those lines. So let me see if ZXW can answer that. So this is TP1117. So this time we're going to go to the schematic. So let me drag that. Let's see if I can dig up an iPad Air schematic so that we can understand. iPad Air, open, and let's find test point. What line is this anyway? Test point 1118. Test point 1118. And it doesn't find test point 1118. God damn it. All right, let's see if this has a different number, which it does. So let's go look at the schematic. All right, so we are looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I put it on 44. It's supposed to go on 39. So let's see what 39 and 44 are. Let's see. 39 is this guy, and this guy is one of the data lines that talk to the charger. So E75 is in the charging cable, and this is a data line pair. So 38 and 39 go together, and then 44 is a, what? That doesn't make any sense. That looks like a backlight return, but I don't see why that would be at the, oh, I guess that makes sense. It's on the board. So 44 is a test point for a backlight return line, on which is a low voltage line. So that's not a voltage concern there. So that's not that big of a deal. All right, good to know. Let's help out Raj. Who wants to help out Raj? Raj, who struggles with board repair more than anyone in the entire world, but he refuses to give up. Let's go ahead and help him out a little bit, because this is relevant to his problem. So let's go learn about this guy. Who are you, guy? So here's this line, and let's see where he goes. This line goes from where we just were at the charge port with its buddy. It goes through a filter, and it shows up here at this chip. Who knows what this chip is? Just looking at this chip, who can tell me what this chip is? Let's see, who can tell me what chip this is? Not it. What's not it? Oh, Lewis, aren't you supposed to be at the gym? We're not going to be able to talk to you, talk about you now. What chip is that? Come on. What chip is that? Seriously? No, come on. What chip is this? Just from looking at the schematic. Not, hey, let's fix the world with ZXW tool. Not, hey, let's please bro the world. When you look at this chip and you look at the lines that are in and out, you should be able to tell what chip this is. You should be able to tell just by looking at it what chip this is. Raj, what chip is this? Need an answer. Raj. Not you, Chris Long. Raj, what chip is this? Seriously, fuck. Not it, star. Raj, what chip is this? You guy who told me I fucked up the jumper. What chip is this? I want to know who that is. He's my new BFF. No help? All right, fine. All right, so let's see what's going on here. I hope Raj didn't go off to go Google Please Bro answers somewhere else. Let's see. Let's guess what this thing is. What do you think this does? P in. What do you think that is? P in. And it's a dark power line, and it looks like it must get some significant voltage because these caps are rated for a lot. And it's called PPV bus PROT. And since there's no clue in the name, I'll tell you, this is the 5 volts in from the charger. So that's your charger voltage in. Charger voltage in. So what chip do we have that's going to deal with a charger voltage in? We've got a whole bunch of stuff going on over here that has this word UART, all of that stuff, JTAG. let's kind of put a circle around all of that and say that stuff all has to do with debugging and information and programming the chip itself. So not important for actual function in a day-to-day life. Mikey, if you look around hard enough, you can figure out that Mikey means microphone. So not really important for charging either. How about this? PMU USB brick ID. Who wants to take a guess? Now, I don't know the answer to this, but I know what my guess is. What do you think that might be? PMU to USB, it's an outline, so it's TriStar telling somebody else, hey bro, I got some info. What do you think that information is? Brick ID. Let's see what you guys can come up with. A toilet seat? What is going on here? Pee in a toilet seat. Nice. Trolls. That's where the cat piss enters and fucks your world and you ship it off to Lewis. This is where I don't like the delay, because you never know, like, if chat is not talking. It's the one wire circuit. No, fail. Kill yourself. Come on, this is a question. What do you think PMU USB brick ID is? USB detect? Well, that's a good guess, but let's look. Let's look. Power management unit, USB brick identification. I like that. What do you think what kind of practical problem would you have if that line was damaged down or not there? Brick ID. Yes. All right. So what's a brick? You ever heard of a charging brick? iCloud lock, fuck you. Oh, you guys are killing me. All right. This is painful. That's the Facebook cell phone repair shop talk chip BIOS. All right. We're not getting anywhere. All right. I don't know the answer to that, but if I had to guess, I would think brick. What does that mean? And what does it have to do with charging? And then I would think about the fact that there's iPad chargers and there's iPhone chargers. So there's these, two different things that can charge, right? This is a charging brick, yeah? I mean, maybe I'm completely wrong. This is just sort of a hypothesis. But if I were to plug an iPad into this thing, one brick versus an iPhone brick, both of them would charge, but they would pull different charging current. So that means that the device has a way to know what you plug it into, because they both provide 5 volts charging current or charging voltage, and yet the device is going to behave differently based on what kind of a thing you plugged it into. So if I had to guess, I would say that TriStar to the power management unit is saying, hey, this is the identity of the thing that we're plugged into. That would be my guess, but what do I know? And then you can kind of fish around on the other side here. Now we're here to try to give a clue to Raj. So we know that about what we know about the lightning connector. If you look at a lightning connector, that you can plug this thing in either way. So that means that the pins on one side are probably going to match the pins on the other side, and then the pin in the center will probably stay the same. So given that, let's look back at TriStar, which is really receiving all of this information from the dot connector. So if we look at this, we can kind of guess which of these things look like it is something that would be active on one side and then a matching line that would be on the other side. So which of these look like it would be something that one pair would communicate in one when you plugged it in one way, and the other pair would communicate when you plugged it in the other way. So we're helping out Raj with his question, which is, why does this thing only charge in one direction? It creates bricks to build the wall between Jessa and the Please Bros. Oh my God. Let's see. Lots of trolls. Because the E75 receives the voltages info. That's true. It looks like your E75 are data pairs, so possibly. What does E75 mean? When you think about charging and chargers, what is E75? And if you don't know, where could you find out? All right, we've got M1H1 is correct. Let's scroll back. They use data pins, yes. What else is he saying? Where how can we scroll past the trolling? I need a troll filter. Lewis, you're a mod. Can't you like moderate all your own comments so that we can see if there's any real comments? No, there's like nothing in here. Oh my god. Who went to the course already? Because this is like total course content. The wall just got 12 freaks taller. It's the IC on the lightning cable. That's right, Yassine. Yassine knows what's what. E75 is the IC on the lightning cable. That is right. So the IC on the lightning cable is called E75. So since we know that, we can look back at the schematic and maybe it'll make a little bit more sense. So E75, that means the charger, the cable, is talking to this chip. So we've got D pair 1 and D pair 2. So it's these guys are going to be in charge of communication in one. If you have something that will only work in one direction, could that be because you have a cold joint or an open line or a bridged line or a short to ground on D pair 1 but not D pair 2? Yes. Or could it be a open line, bridged line, short to ground, cold joint on D pair 2? Yes. But D pair 1 is fine. That means if you plug the charger in one direction, it will work. If you plug it into the direction where it's talking to through D pair 1, it's going to work. But if you flip it around and there's a problem with D pair 2, it will not work. So you know for sure, Raj, when you stare at this schematic and you think, what could be responsible for something that looks in one direction and not the other? Each of these other lines are unique. And so therefore, it can't be that. For example, this one, what do you think this line does? Let's see. The name of the actual pad on the chip is called connection connector detect low. And then we've got this thing called TS E75 accessory detect when low. So what do you think happens? How does the device know that you've actually plugged something in and generate the lightning symbol? It's going to be this thing, right? And then we've got this line here. This is unique line. Now this is going out. So what kind of information does TriStar send out? He understands that somebody's plugged something in, and through these one or the other of these lines, he knows, who are you and what is your business? What do you want up in here? You say you want to charge? You want to charge me? You want to charge me? And then, given that, we can follow and say, well, where does this line go? Because this is communication out. Let's see. Where does this line go? Let's follow it. Copy, paste. Who is he telling? Who is he going to tell? He's going to go tell mom. Who is mom? Let's find out. Let's see. Here's this line. It goes through a little resistor, same guy. And it plugs in right here. Now, who is this? This is the power management chip. So this is the iPad Air power management chip. A lot of stuff going on at the iPhone Air power management chip. But let's see if we can make any sense of what's going on in this section of it. So all we're going to do is just sort of see if we can identify any words that make any sense. What's going on here? Just look at that, stare at that for a second, and see if you can figure out what's going on here. VCC main, battery VCC. What kind of a thing is that? Battery sense. VBus detect. What is going on here? Let's see if you guys know what's going on there. Let's see. Why do I see the words wheelchair and you snort that line? What is going on in that section of the power management chip? It's really impossible to have an actual conversation on live chat. Let's see. All right, let's get some answers. Who's got an answer? What is going on in that section of the chip? All right, Chris Long, VCC main charges battery VCC when PMIC opens the MOSFET. Sounds good. So in a nutshell, charging happens. So TriStar doesn't actually do charging. TriStar is just a tattletale chip that says, Mom, somebody connected a charger into my ass and he says he wants to charge the phone, so I'm letting you know. Right, so this is the charging function is actually a function of the power management chip. So we see Yasin, who knows what's what. Oh, I see if the connection is okay, the voltage is low on this line, and it sends the info to the PMU to start charging the battery. Yes! Yes, Yasin is learning. Yes, this is what I like to see. All right, let's do some more learning. All right. Good job. Okay, so yes. So now we know what TriStar is doing with this line. This is TriStar telling the power management chip, hey, turn on charging. And then charging is going to happen. But charging itself is not a TriStar function. Charging itself is a function of the power management chip. So let's see, does this line go anywhere else? Let's see, let's look around. That's the same place, and then it comes back to TriStar. So that's it. So now we know that this is the important line, and we know that when it says L there, that's supposed to be low. So that is the signal for TriStar to say, everything's a thumbs up between me and the charger, so go ahead and start applying that 5 volts to the charging current. So Chris Long, again, back to your problem. What do you need to do in order to troubleshoot? This is super important. You need to investigate that. You need to figure out, like, your entire reason why your thing won't charge is largely going to be dependent on the presence or absence of this signal. So that's just another piece to your troubleshooting story. You need to really think about, is this guy present or absent, and does it go off, and if so, why? And some of that we don't know, but this is why things tend to be charge port and TriStar related, because in order to get this signal for charging to happen, TriStar's got to be good, and TriStar can be bad on any one of these little connections. An incoming ripply, piece of shit, crappy gas station charger voltage can fuck up TriStar anywhere. Any of these guys can get blown open. And in that case, TriStar overall is just not going to produce this line. And if it doesn't produce that line, then the power management chip is not going to kick in charging. Now, if you follow this back, that's not the only piece of the pie. There is, if we look back here, the that line from TriStar is one signal to initiate charging. But look around here. Just Chris Long, what else on this picture is data communication? What else is data? I see a lot of power. What else is data that is plugging into the power management chip, that the section that controls charging? What else is data that this chip needs to get a thumbs up on a data line in order for charging to happen? So what else here is data? So let's see if you know. And Lewis says these chips are racist. Let's see. They disproportionately discriminate against immigrant chargers. I think you're racist for assuming that gas station chargers are immigrants. We don't have any immigrant gas station chargers up here. Yes, Chris Long, battery sense. Exactly, battery sense. Very good. So what is battery sense from? Where does it come from? What does it do? What kind of information is in there? So it's pretty clear. If you follow that out, battery sense is going to go to, gee, I wonder where. Battery sense is going to go, let's follow it, let's pick it up and say, where do you come from, yo? Is there another chip related to charging? I don't know. Let's find it. Battery sense, here's battery sense. Where does it go? What the hell is this? Battery sense. Now in iPhones, at the battery connector, you have 4 lines. in an iPhone. This is not an iPhone. In an iPhone battery, you've got positive, negative, and then you have heat, am I on fire? And then you have this battery SWI. And Chris, I believe when you were talking before that you were troubleshooting that line. So this is gas gauge, and that's important. But now in the iPad Air, there's this fifth line, which is current sensing of the battery pack itself. So this line is super important now. And how easy is it for this line to get fucked up? What's the most common way for this line to not be able to deliver its payload of, hey, thumbs up, to the power management chip, and therefore initiate the go sign for charging to happen? What's the most common way for this thing to get fucked up? Let's see. Let's see who knows the answer to that. Hey, Jessa, Lewis wants me to send you a wheelchair. He really doesn't. He just wants to think that you might. If you do send me a wheelchair, then Lewis is getting a package for sure for MyPad Rehab. We're very excited to send Lewis a package. We have a very special package that we're going to make for Lewis. Let's see. I'll compare these again, Jessa, to my own good. Why would it allow charging while the iPad is turned off, but it cuts all amp draw and VCC main drops the battery voltage when it boots? Well, so this is current sensing on the battery. But let's first answer the question of what is the most common way for that current sensing battery line to get fucked up? So Zach LB guessed bad resistors. That's not the most common way. Let's see. Why are Mac chargers square? All right. Does anybody have an answer for that? Most common way. Nobody has an answer. Missing or shorted to ground? Missing, but why? Here, let's look at the camera. So let's look and see what does it take to actually have the battery communicate on that battery sense line. Let's think about it. So this battery is kind of fucked up. Here's a battery, and this battery is going to have a battery sense line. We can look at it and see where is that connection made. So that means it's going to be right here on this little piece of shit board. And of these, it's, well, of course you got to connect the black and red, you got to connect positive and negative. But remember, I think it's this one, but it's the one on the end. This is super important, the current sense line. And see how it actually goes into the battery here. And this then, it's essential for that to make fantastic, perfect contact to the springy battery connectors on the actual iPad board. And look at how, like those connectors, they've got to touch and touch really well. They've got to touch and they've got to touch really well. So what's the most common way to be missing that sense line? The battery is not screwed in well. What if you're just off by a hair? Look at this. Can I see how I can kind of slide and I've got that play? What if I am off like that or off like that? Look at how thin that is and how easily I could get this pushed down. I could even screw it in, but I'm really not making good connection. I mean, look at how tiny it is. It's just so easy to just not make a good connection. See that? That is super, super, super important, and I don't know that anyone has ever really thought about that before. So that's why I was such a shark about aligning it under the microscope and tightening it down, because that battery sense is one of the important things for charging. All right, speaking of charging, let's see what happened now that we have unfucked up my jumper that I Oh, I'm glad that Lewis was at the gym while I was soldering a jumper to the wrong test point. Whoops. But who was it that pointed that out? That's what I want to know. Yeah, like even if you just, oh, I lost my battery screw. This screw looks pretty good. Not good enough. You will continue to have battery sense problems. Battery sense problems are going to end up causing defects like Chris Long's iPad Air, where it will like charge sometimes and then it'll stop. And you'll notice that it is misinformed about its battery sense, current sense. Current sensing gets fucked up when there is a different draw on the battery from the board. All right, so let's see. I am going to screw this in really, really perfectly to avoid that on my test battery. All right, let's see. What? Soldering to the wrong test point? I'm sure that never happened. Oh, it totally happened. It totally happened. It happened. All right, so now I've got a battery in there. Let's see if we can do any better. Is that Christy?
Yep.
Damn it. I mean, hi, Jean.
Why do you need Christy?
Because I don't know. I'm trying to fix this iPad Air where the charge port fell off the board by itself. And I don't have any clue what. In fact, this one is the one I've just plugged it into is the one called Battery Bad. I don't have high hopes for that one. Yeah, okay, so this is what happened when I do Battery Bad. Oh, I got a little flicker. Oh, it's going to heal this battery. All right, battery bad, I'm not sure. That actually looks fairly normal for a super dead battery, but...
Why don't you try the super awesome charger battery?
Wait, what? Super awesome what?
The battery charger thing.
Oh, yeah. That's not my domain. That's Christy's domain. Single moms and nails. See, I told you, him with the single moms. You know what I've been sending Lewis a lot of?
What are we going to get some jamberries now?
So, what, useful stuff? No. Guess what I've been sending Lewis a lot of? I've been sending him every morning. Daily dose of fabulous.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
Yeah, every day. Wake him up with a daily dose of fabulous, which is hilarious. Puts him in a nice mood to rant. All right. Like today.
It happens. What was today?
Today was
Sick.
sick child. My employer is getting pissed that my kid is sick again. He was just like, how dare your employer expect you to work the same amount of hours as everyone else that's being paid the same amount as you? How dare they? All right, let's see. Hey, Jessa, have a repair shop and having a horrible time getting the word out about repairs. Any suggestions? Do good work and talk to people. When you do a repair, talk to them. Let them see the inside of their phone. If you're not busy because you're just starting out, you've got all the time in the world. So you can really, really talk to them. Explain industry problems. Talk about problems in part sourcing and things like that. All right. In the new housing, I have, yay! It's charging! Hooray! But now we want to make sure that we're not in a Chris Long situation, which is that it will not charge when it turns all the way on. So in order to verify, yes, I have an iPad Air that is actually charging, you need it to boot up and you need it to stay charging even when the screen comes on, because the screen is going to change the current consumption in the device, and you need to make sure that the battery sensing is intact and kind of can be maintained through that. So how do you get the word out about a new shop? You do good work and you talk to people, and you kind of generate a stream of really happy customers that you but become invested in your success, especially at the local level. You know, if somebody walks in here and you befriend them, you know, anybody that walks in the door, you talk to them and you connect with them and you fix their device and you explain about struggles in the industry and, you know, how much work you put in to get quality parts and, you know, advocate for the right to repair. And you can really make people, it's interesting stuff. People are unaware of a lot of it. Talk about the TriStar gas station cables. Did you know? Nobody knows that. And they will really appreciate your, 5 minutes of education on, hey, why you shouldn't buy a charger at the gas station because it'll fuck your phone. And here's why. Then people that like stands out in their day, and they'll go home and, the next time that they're at, let's say, the Mom's Club play date, they're going to be talking about, hey, you know what I heard? This guy down at whatever shop told me. That's I think how you spread the word locally, and I think you kind of have to build a customer base of people that are going to go out and leave you those good reviews because they are invested in you. So that's what I'd say about that. Let's see. Seems everyone is having this problem. Even STS Telecom is having this issue currently. What issue? I want to know about issue. What are you guys talking about? I think Lewis has power problems. Oh, you guys have power out? We had a power outage. How did my tech fry an iPad Air? Something I don't know. The LCD was bad, but how did he F it up? I'm going to guess that L7080 is the backlight filter. Do you know if it is, Gene? iPad Air backlight filter, is it called 7080? Huh?
It sounds like it.
How did he F it up? Well, if his connector looked like the one... Here, let's see. I'm sure we have a shitty LCD around here somewhere. We have plenty of shitty parts to look at. And if his connector looks something like this... Let's look at this. If you had to guess, where is the backlight? Yeah, this one's particularly shitty. If you've got a connector like this, and you're blindly trying to connect, disconnect, and probe around to try to find exactly how it fits into the iPad Air, especially because most people have this shield covering the connector, the little shield guy. So they're doing it blind, and they're just trying to find that sweet spot. It's really easy to do something like this. Yeah, that's really easy to do. And then after that happens, it's really easy to do something like this. Well, not that bad. I didn't want to do that bad. I wanted to do it half as bad as that. Something like that. All right, so if you've got a connector like that, now if you look at the schematic and you say, where is... You can't see that. This is the PP LED back reg, and it is plugging into the connector right there. So right there on the end, that's the hot pin. Where's the ground? Here's one right next to it. Here's another one right there. That's all ground and hot. That's how you cause a serious short to ground on the backlight line. So remember, this guy right here, right on the very, very end of the connector, that pin has to make perfect contact into the connector. If the pin on the LCD itself bridges or touches ground in any way, then you are going to get a giant short on your backlight line. So let's look at this connector again, and remember, all it takes is this, right? All you have to do is that little damage like that. If you tried to plug in this connector into an iPad Air LCD connector right now, you would almost certainly blow the backlight. So that's the answer to that. All right, so my iPad Air is continuing to charge, so I'm thinking that it is solved, but I want to just confirm that. So let's put it back in its own housing and see if it works. All right, let's see. Yeah, sorry about that. I put it on test screen instead of screenshot screen. Sorry. Let's get this out. What did you make for dinner, Jean? Are you here for team meeting?
Yeah, isn't that what we're doing?
Yeah, we are totally doing that. I mean,
But I have to catch up on invoices first.
yeah, you totally do, because now I've just fixed Christy's iPad Air charging. And by the way, this is the one where that guy was waiting on this so that a bunch of shit could go out.
Yeah.
So I think I should get credit for all of those.
No, I did the other two. So, I think the other one was a class one.
So yeah, I am like way up today. I did 2 data recoveries plus everything on that board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Plus this 9, plus 2 data recoveries. So get busy. You can do it, Jean. You can beat me. You can win.
I'm gonna make lots of no fixes to catch up.
All right, let's get this back in its own housing. Let's see. Send a China iPhone to the Apple disassembly robot. Fuck that robot. So what did you make for dinner? Did you make anything?
Today was not exciting.
Not
It
exciting?
was crappy pizza from Henrietta,
Crappy pizza from Henrietta.
but it was $8
Wow.
and 88 cents was the Tuesday pizza special.
Which place?
I don't even know what it's called. It's next to Jeffrey's.
Is it actually called Crappy Pizza?
Yeah, it should be. It
Ha!
was worth $8, I guess.
I was supposed to make chicken pot pie where I'm going to change it into sort of chicken and rice. But I'm delaying that until tomorrow. Because I forgot about team meeting. I have team meeting. All right. So this is back in its own housing. Dare I connect? Do you have any clue didn't we get some new Air LCDs? Because everything here in this sketchy pile I'm a little bit afraid of. I thought she ordered a new one as well. Is she hoarding it in some kind of secret Christie stash? All right, let's see. What's Trotsky Online for the second time so frustrating? I replaced the filter, but then the same LCD blew it. Yes, exactly. Well, you gotta stare at, put your eyeballs on the connector and make sure on your LCD that it's not fucked up, because it's probably fucked up, especially if you're in the category of folks that have trained your people to disconnect the battery. You're not gonna blow backlights unless you get a bad LCD. So yeah, you gotta fix that. You gotta keep fixing it until you get a good LCD, which is exactly why I am seeing if Christy has a magical stash of new LCDs. Let's see. I don't have a Visa, and that's why I can't go.
There's one.
Does it? Air test. Was this in a secret stash?
No, not really.
All right, let's look at this connector. I'm not going to be like Trotsky online. I'm going to look at my connector before I plug it in because I don't want to fix backlight filters for no reason. Let's take a look. This one is equally janky. Is this the one that I like? Yeah, this is the one. Oh yeah, this is the one that I really fucked up when I was killing myself. This is the one. Oh geez, why is that like that? This is the one where I wanted to know if it had an image problem, so I like just totally cracked the LCD. I'm kind of interested to see if it works at all. All right, I'm gonna go with this. There's a new one. All right, I'm gonna go with the new one. But this one was seriously fucked up.
I fixed it.
We have tried to reach Jessa to get her up here. Yeah, Jessa doesn't like go anywhere except for. Here's what you need to do. You need to get serious action on the right to repair, and then I will go out there and rabble-rouse about it. That's the way to do it. Okay, let's just see if this works so that we can stop this and get busy. I wonder, like, Jean, do you have a good idea for like a Jerry? What does Jerry Springer say at the end of all of his?
I can't tell you. I haven't watched Jerry Springer.
What? He always says something.
A long time.
Well, I haven't watched in a long time either, but he always says something like, "Be good and be good to each other," or something like that.
Christy wants to start doing classroom instruments like Jimmy Fallon, since we had to listen to that.
Wait, what? She wants to do what?
The classroom instruments with like Jimmy Fallon sings with all these different people playing like kids' toys.
Wait, she wants us to play instruments in here?
She was fascinated.
While we wear
Instruments.
house dresses?
Yes. House
Okay.
dresses and classroom instruments. It's gonna be our thing.
All right.
And walking around canes. And wearing diapers so we don't have to get up.
Mm-hmm. Janky Dr. Jones. What, my janky screens? I got a lot of janky screens. All right, still charging. I want to see if this thing is detected by iTunes. Then we gotta get out of here.
These are all checked up.
All jacked up, huh? Janky is pretty standard in the States. I do onboard repairs at the moment. I just need to get better microscope. Yes, click the description and buy one of my Amazon link microscopes. That sounds like a great idea to me. I suppose use a custom supplier for your parts instead of iFixit. We use a lot of iFixit parts. There's a shit ton of iFixit parts around here.
Yeah, you just opened iFixit.
Yeah, I just opened it up. Wait, is that an iFixit LCD?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Straight from iFixit. We get a lot of stuff from China, for sure. But when we need something like right now, then we will use Injured Gadgets in Atlanta or iFixit. Or we're going to start, oh, by the way, we're going to start selling parts, Gene. Get ready. Let's see.
Kind of hurts.
Surprised she'll even talk to you. Probably misled you to make you suffer for all the terrible things you've done. I'm a nice person. I do not do things like that. What do you think to Lewis trying to get us to buy you cars, walkers, and wheelchairs? The cars part sounds fantastic.
Yeah,
I was completely unaware of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get like all-wheel drive.
Yeah, it's snowy up here. Yeah, you guys can you guys can buy us some cars. That sounds great. I think that it would be a lot more fun if you guys sent useful stuff. That's what Sunday today was like. Why didn't he say something like, Grandma needs to drink?
Yeah, Grandma wants some Tito's.
Yeah, Grandma wants some Tito's. Hashtag Tito's for Grandma. Yeah,
That's a good one.
yeah, that would have been totally acceptable. Or any one of 1,000 other things that are not walkers or canes. I think.
How about koozies? Everybody send us a koozie from your shop.
What's a koozie?
For your beer holders. For the lake house, I could have a whole bunch of
Of different ones from different shops?
Yeah.
Wait, do shops make koozies? Because we
They
don't have an
should. We
iPad.
should make
We
one.
do not
I
have an
said that it was
iPad
better
rehab
than
koozie.
Love handles.
Koozies?
Yeah.
I don't think people really use koozies. I think
Oh my God,
koozies.
everybody uses
What?
How do you
I
drink
throw those
beer?
things away.
What?
You drink it fast so that it doesn't get hot. I don't know. Like those things, that's like, you know what that's like? It's like the little holder for a paper plate. Like you're supposed to put the plate, the paper, the cheap 99 cents for 1,000 of them,
Right.
paper plate in the little rattan
Yeah.
thing.
Those are good.
I hate those. Those are like koozies for plates. That's what those are.
Koozies are awesome.
I don't think so. All right. Grandma needs money. Grandma does not need any kind of munchies. It's like that's ridiculous. Collard greens, potatoes, and baked tofu with chili. Collard greens sounds good, not potatoes. Tofu is fine, but not if Lewis makes it, because Lewis makes tofu with nothing but salt. Like that's it. Like and he burns it. Like there's nothing worse than plain. I mean, the beauty of tofu is all these different sauces and things. But no, he makes like plain tofu burned with salt. That's bad. Green peas and corn is my little girl's absolute favorite thing ever. This thing is all fucked up. They love that. If you ask them if they want to have a piece of Jean's cake versus the peas and corn, they would be like, oh, peas and corn. They love it, yeah. They do. Creatinine is not really that awesome, I don't think. We got some creatinine, but or creatine, it makes muscles kind of hang on to water. I don't really like that. You can burn tofu. Yes, you can burn tofu. You can burn tofu. Let's see. What else did I make? Oh, I made something up the other day. I made fish with shit that I felt like mixing in with it because I was really hungry at the time. So it was like, what's gonna go with this fish? Corn, black beans, rice, tomatoes, chopped up celery, chopped up carrots, just all kinds of stuff. And then I was like, what's gonna make this not taste plain? Cilantro, lime, and that was the last thing I think I actually made. All right. Okay, I think that we need to do team meeting, so we're gonna just leave this as is, but let's just see if it's charging. All right, we gotta get done with it. All right, so this is charging, and we're gonna call it done. Let's see, is there anything else that we need? Good night, everybody. Yeah, that's the point for that pump. I don't really want to be pumped. I'm not trying to be pumped. I want to be strong, not pumped. Let's see. Yeah, so no more creatine. Yeah, you fixed your air too. Awesome. All right, well, we have to go have our meeting and figure out what kind of stuff is going well and what stuff is not going well. What is this supposed to be at 7:30?
I thought somebody said 8:30.
8:30? All right, good. Then I'll get some more jobs done. All right. Bye, everybody. Insert tagline here.